April. About to play turn 79 for Pit Boss 5. 15. I keep on saying 5. Just move the mic slightly. Might be lucky and get 2 turns in today. It's very dependent on when Thoth plays the turn. I'm second to last person to play. Yeah, I'm second to last person to play, so there's a good chance. Ooh, that's gone up a bit. Yeah. Okay. So, oh, Pindicator, hello there. Okay, so there's not much that's happened. The main changes to the turn are the spears moved forward. I really hope Pindicator... Okay, Pindicator's played the turn, so what I hope happens now, and this would just be so cruel to him, because he's actually going to have odds, is that the spear moves onto this plains hill. Pindicator then moves here. Actually, no, fuck it. The spear, he can actually bypass it, it's fine, he won't have to deal with it. But the spear, if it does move in, it'll take so long to reach that I'll have an axe in place. Yeah, so there's no problem. But spear turned up, Pindicator turned. He's actually turned up. That's actually a double move. It's moved from this tile because I couldn't see it at last turn, and Pindicator's played after me on turn 7. Oh, playing turn 79, even nicer. Pindicator moved on turn 78 to the Plains Hill, and then moved onto the Desert Hill on 79. Like now, I'm playing late, so Pindicator's scouted out all of this area, it seems. Obviously, the spears moved, so I'm not that worried anymore about it, unless there's something on these 2 tiles. Novice did the smart move, moved his archer onto the gold. There's a warrior in Miller. I keep on checking for a library, but there isn't one. 2 workers have moved. They've roaded the sheep and then they moved straight up and around, I think. So he's just burnt 2 worker turns, so now he's going to improve Miller with those 2 workers. There's nothing really new at Thoth. He's still pasturing that. The pig, no units around here. Commodore's moved up 2 workers. Interestingly, he's moved 1 onto the Plains Hill sheep. Now, I know there's a road on the City Ruin tile, and because of how it's set up, there's also a road on that Plains tile. So what it looks like is that that Commodore is about to resettle this city. Now, that doesn't really bother me too much. The only reason I wanted to raise it was that because it was the Holy City, and it would have been very difficult to deal with, because it would have been able to take this hill tile. And if Commodore controlled that hill tile and this one, he would have been able to, like, 1 turn to put units in position to 1 turn attack here tomorrow big and a city up here of mine. So it made it very difficult for me to settle anything towards him. So this hill, like these 2 hills, are like critical for me to hold. So if Commodore settles that city now, I'm not so bothered. However, he can build the madrasa because he's Arabia, and where are we? Buildings. Madrasa. The madrasa is a library. Produces 4 culture per turn. It also has 2 priest slots, so it's actually one of the 2 unique buildings you can use to get a great profit out early game, because it doesn't rely on you getting a religion. But it's also cheaper in the RB mod. That's partly because 2 priest slots and extra culture doesn't really do much a lot of the time. It would make it a very niche unique building, so the cost was reduced slightly, but that's also because there's no traits that give double production of libraries. So it's a pretty strong unique building now, because it's always going to be cheap. You can use it for culture wars, and you can make priests. You can make profits out of there very simply. So the unique unit, the Camel Archer, is not amazing. It's not like the be all and end all unit. Well, actually, I'll show it now. Arabian Empire Camel Archer, because it's effectively the Camel Archer is just a knight replacement that has that can withdraw from combat 15%. The knight doesn't even have that. Other than that, um, I mean, it also means that you also don't have to have any strategic resources. When we play multiplayer games, though, we actually tend to make sure that players can get horses and can get iron and bronze, well, iron and copper, because um, if you aren't able to get those strategic resources, you end up having to play the game in such a way that you're much less likely to win, because a lot of the methods of waging war are limited to you. You cannot flank away catapults with horse archers or anything, so you can only and because of the limited because of the limited units that you have available to you, you have to settle differently so you can defend your cities effectively. So yeah, we generally make sure that everyone has those resources. So to have a unique unit that doesn't need those resources doesn't really benefit you. Um, so the only real advantage in multiplayer games for the Camel Archer um, is the withdrawal for combat. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some game types where it's useful. So if you were to play multiplayer in a Renaissance era teamer, like a 5 versus 5 game, um, you can just rush out Camel Archers from turn 0. You don't even need, because you don't need to hook up resources there, you can get a rush going pretty quickly. Um, Seen it done that myself. It can be effective. You can fuck it up quite badly and lose the game because of it. But in a long-term game, starting in the Ancient Era, that's not worth so much. That unique unit isn't. The other point with Arabia there was a slight change to starting text. Instead of it being mysticism and wheel, it was changed, which are actually two really bad starting texts to have because you don't have any food tech. You can't. You basically have to go fishing, agriculture, or hunting first. You can't make the use of mysticism to go for an early religion. You can't go for early bronze working for slavery or know where copper is. You can't go for an early animal husbandry, so you know where horses are, even if you needed that. Because it was quite limiting in what you could do, it was changed from the wheel and mysticism to agriculture and mysticism. The only other civ that has that is Inca, and Inca also has the terraces, which is a granary unique building that has culture, as the Quechua, which is a unique unit, which is a warrior replacement, and used to start with Combat 1 and have a bonus against archers. I mean, it was just an awesome civ to have. That one, Inca got nerfed a lot, but it still had the unique agriculture and mysticism starting text. But now Arabia's got that, and a few unique things to itself, like with the unique unit and unique building, so it's more playable. You can pick it, and you're not basically screwing yourself over on turn 0 compared to others. So it is good, but in this instance, I'm actually concerned. I'm not so much concerned, but I'm aware that if Commodore settles on the city ruin and builds a madrasa, he's actually going to overtake the amount of culture I've got in here tomorrow big very quickly. So again, I'm going to be forced to build a library to even have a hope in hell of keeping up with it. I've got to rush out actually to 100 culture, because at that point the borders would expand again, and I'd start putting in 20 plus the amount of culture I produce per turn into these tiles in the outer ring, because of the weird ways that the culture system works in Civ 4. So yeah, I'm actually going to have to consider that. I'm going to have to consider what he does, because he could chop 3 forests in and get it immediately, even if he's not, like, almost immediately, even if he's not got maths. So I've got to keep an eye on that. I may have to double slave, or preferably get a workaround and just get 2 workers out and chop these forests. I don't mind chopping at least this one, because I don't want to, for any forest adjacent to the city, I would chop that in for a library, chop the other 2 as well, whatever, doesn't bother me. Anyway, I'll get on with the turn. I think some of the turn. Anyway, I'm going to meet Scooter now. Move on to the Forest Hill. Hope there's nothing there, and there isn't. I've now met Scooter. Met every single person here. There's no question marks next to their names. I'll check F4, and you can see that I've got contacts to everybody. So now Thoth has contact with everyone but Pindicator. Sudoa has contact with everyone but Commodore. Pindicator, actually, Commodore and Thoth is missing for him. Scooter, everybody. Novice, everybody. Commodore, I said, is missing Sudoa and Pindicator. So I'm like the third person to, well, technically me and Scooter are joint second, I think. Yeah, me and Scooter are joint second. So I'm immediately going to check his cities. He has one more city than me. I'm going to offer a map trade. Because I don't know if he's got my map. He may have. He may have traded with Thoth, but it's not too sure about that. I'm going to scout out the 2-tile like with the archer. Hope there's no axe, and there isn't. Oh, but there's a... Okay, the fact that there is a plains cow here means that I am definitely settling City 8 on that windmill. I was considering the desert tile to get the gold first ring. I was considering that because it's also between two lakes. It would make it a bit... It would be very difficult for Vindicator to ever get like past this city. Because he could always... If he had a fast mover stack, he could move it onto the desert hill. If I can't kill him there, he can use one unit to pillage that tile, so there's no road on it, and move the rest up and in. So depending on where my units were, he could actually strand me quite easily. Then again, it's not like I can't go around. But I'm definitely settling there for that plains cow and popping borders because that's just a nice tile now between the plains hill on this the city. The gold, I mean this city's making, what is it, 9 hammers per turn at size 3? Yeah, 9 hammers per turn at size 3, that funds that. And it's still making 3 food per turn. Size 4 it works the Oasis. So yeah, that's actually a nice little city. I'm not going to slave this one too much. Although I can use the corn right at the start to slave it to get out what I need. Which would just be the barracks and granary, to be honest. But yeah, that city with that and that 0. So yeah, this city is actually quite likely. I mean, with the Oasis, I can irrigate 2 grasslands here immediately. This lake tile, I can irrigate 1, so I'd have to wait for civil service to irrigate the 3rd one, but there's no point because there's nothing for it to work because city tile makes this one legal. The funds the food deficient on that plains hill, the sheep and the gold. The Oasis and cow fund that plains hill. There's nothing else I really want to work. The rest is food neutral. So I would either work some farm. I can use some farms quick to just grow and work those tiles. But after a while, I'd want to improve over those farms once it's grown to size 8, 9, 10, or whatever, and do other stuff. Probably not cottages. I probably would again be workshops here. So that's actually quite a nice little. I do like that city site now quite a lot. Unit costs are through the roof. Unit costs are absolutely through the roof. Kind of wish you'd had a road on this tile. Can't have everything. Move up. No one can see that tile. So just making sure no one can see that. Yeah, no one can see any of these settlers at all that I'm moving around. Definitely going. What's Pindicator going to do? Pindicator's not going to be stupid, I think, and move in. The thing is, also, because he's actually double moved me now, he can't even move in at the start of next turn. He'd actually have to move after me. If I wanted to, I could move the chariot onto that tile to defend it. But I'm not going to, because I don't think Pindicator's going to do that. There's no point. pillaging one tile for 25 hammers that can scout. Not worth it. Um, I could, though, if I wanted to be completely obnoxious, I could actually threaten his bowman in case it moves, because he's got to move off a hill, at which point I will have odds with the chariot. So I move here now. He moves that. He moves onto the hill next turn, turn 80. Then I move onto the hill as well on turn 80. Turn 81, he moves off onto a flat land, and then I can attack him then, just to be obnoxious to him. But I think he's got most of this area scouted out now, so it doesn't bother me. I mean, there's not much point in doing that. He's not. He doesn't want to trade maps with me, and he's not gonna. I'm not gonna make him do that by being a dick to him. The axe here. I've got to go back and check some of the micromanagement to make sure I don't screw this up. As you can see, there's 20 food saved up after growing, even though I produce, even though there was only 10 food left in the food box to fill up before I grew the Raja Donga from size 4. It's let's find that. Okay, rough spreadsheet link. This turn, I was actually only supposed to produce 5 food. I'd actually worked 2 hills and wouldn't use the farm. For 2 turns, I'd grow. I'd overflow nothing. So I'd save 15 food from the granary, and so at size 6, I would need to produce 17 food total to grow, which I'd get by producing 6 food over 3 turns, just by the 6th population point working the farm. Although I would actually stagnate for a single turn because I'd have to give the pig over. So I just moved from the pig to a hill. The reason I'm not using the farm for 2 turns. Let me see. I'd produce an extra 4 food over those 2 turns, which would mean instead of needing 17 food to grow, I'd only need 13. But it's what tiles would I work? Because I could, theoretically speaking, grow in 2 turns. Again, I would actually have to... I mean, I could use a hill for 1 turn and a farm for another. So I would actually use... I'd basically work above and beyond normal. I'd work 1 hill for a single turn. So I'd gain 3 hammers above like the base layout of the sugar, the pig, and 2 of the copper and 1 other hill. However, if I work this hill, actually, no, it makes no difference. But if I work this hill now for 2 turns, I've got to spend a turn stagnating anyway. So that's the same. The output on that turn's the same no matter what. So it's only the output on the turns that I grow that matters. Again, it doesn't matter because if I grow a turn earlier, the additional output I get in the city from working the ivory and that hill means that I can't have that output from ARAM collusion. So I am actually, since it's not like it's a net gain, I'm actually losing it here. So it's actually, it makes no difference net. I'd only have the marginal output between working improved tiles in Raja Donga and from having a new population point in Raja Donga work that tile, and 1 population point in ARAM collusion working somewhat like a forest hill. So it's like I'm growing a new population point just to work a forest hill, because there's no multipliers in place or anything, so there's no point in growing that a little bit faster. So I'm going to work the hill this turn. Yeah, This settler's moving to City 5. I chop with these two workers this turn, and I cancel this on every single at the end of every turn after they've done the chop, so I don't accidentally chop the forest into a got the reset. No way I want to do that. Okay, I'm cancel, and I cancel. I'm always cancelling the worker, this worker as well, simply because I don't want it to chop in case novice moves a unit next to it. If we were to move an axe or a sword, or if we were to move a sword next to that worker, I'd be screwed. There'd be nothing I could do to defend it. I need to back it away. I'm just still trying to figure out what I build there, because it's up to me really, just to toss a coin almost. If you look at this unit supply cost now, you say away supply cost for 1 unit. I love the grammar in this game sometimes. And the unit cost is really high at 9 gold per turn. Unit cost for 14 units, that's like, what is it, 14 units above and beyond what I should do. What I can afford. There's so many archers, chariots, and warriors just wandering, and workers wandering around. Settling new cities will drop that a bit because I no longer have settler units, but also that raises the cap a bit. But even then, I'm still going to be paying units for a while. But the unit supply cost for the next turn is actually going to increase quite a lot. Now, let me see. I need to move a unit. Okay. The blue sparkles on my chariot, it can take a promotion. Novices can't. It cannot double move over a hill. So I've not got to defend. I've not got to defend the worker here. Oh fuck! I just had my archer here earlier, so I know that there's no barbs here. If I hadn't remembered that fact, I'd be scared shitless about doing this. I know that obviously that I arguably actually should have moved the archer up to defend that tile. That might cost me now. So I actually need to. Because I've not done that. I actually do need to move this archer down. I'm not going to risk moving an archer out of ARAM collision. No, that's just stupid. But strictly speaking, I don't need to move either of those two units out of my culture. Because I can finish the road on the plains tile next turn, I can move the archer straight onto the worker to defend. I can also move the warrior underneath it to keep it safe. But I have to keep at least one chariot to cover the hamlet in case Novice moves his archer. Because he's going to move, next turn he's going to move and see that I've got a billion workers all over the place, and units. And he'll even see one of the settlers. Just thinking actually, if Novice does move his archer onto that forest hill, I'm actually going to have to defend every single unit around here. That's something to consider, because he might even try and he might try and pillage a road. It's possible, but again, if he were to move onto that flatland, I'd kill that archer. I've got so many chariots in that region. That archer is dead. Even if I lose 2 archers, that archer's dead. There's no way it survives. So Novice's likely moves are, again, I think, to move either onto the desert hill or the forest hill. The forest hill's the smart move, I think. He wouldn't gain, because we've not traded maps before, so he doesn't know all of my road layout or anything like that. He knows where I've planted the cities, but not the road layout. He doesn't know where my units are either. So I think he moves to the forest hill so he can see more of my land. He doesn't care so much about the 2 tiles he'd see over here if he's moved onto the desert hill, or like this desert tile here, all that grassland. And he might even have traded maps. He's almost certain traded maps with someone like Pindicator or whatnot. So he's probably knows this land anyway. So he'd move on to the Forest Hill for the better defence and to see more of my land. He does that, and then he's in a rather interesting position because he can move on to the hamlet to pillage. You can try to pillage a road or anything, but he knows that if I've got a chariot underneath him, and I will do, he'll know that that archer is pretty much dead if it doesn't move where I want it to move. He'd have to try and back it up with more units, and if you look at his power graph, he's actually pretty low. Pindicator and Sudoa are in a war and they're racing up. Thoth and Scooter are pretty high. Scooter's power chart's not that impressive, truth be told. Yeah, Commodore's still shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's everybody. GNP, Scooters isn't great. Novices is still culture, is inflating it. Manufacturing, it's pretty high for they're almost splitting up now, so that Commodore, Pindicator, and Sudoa are at one bunch at the bottom. Commodore's climbing out of that. The next bunch is everyone else, Thoth, Novice, and Scooter. Then I'm like as far ahead of them as they are ahead of Pindicator. So it's not. So I don't think. And if you look at the crop yield, just to get the final look, everyone's pretty close, but I don't think Novice is able to dedicate as much to military because he's got a slightly lower crop yield and lower MFG and a lower power. I don't think he's going to do anything with to try and just screw about down here. There's no point to it. He knows that I can just kill his units. But what I need to do now is this last worker needs to move on to the desert hill because that's where it's going. I need to cover this so that Novice can't just attack and kill it. So I'm covering it with a combat chariot. That leaves the plains forest open, but that doesn't bother me this turn. What I need to do is actually, I can't move the chariot onto that forest hill because then what can happen is Novice can actually declare war and to camp that gold, and I can't get a unit onto the gold to improve it. However, if I keep a chariot on that tile, Novice, if he declares war on me, his archer automatically moves. Where's his capital? His capitals are one south of the silk and one east of the sheep. So his archer will actually transport to this tile here, not even onto the hamlet, I think. So he wouldn't even be able to pillage the hamlet. So yeah, I keep a unit on that tile, and he can't stop me from improving it. Even when my borders pop, because we don't have open borders, his archer will again be teleported away. So he can't stop me improving that gold so long as I keep a unit on it. So that's what I've got to keep a chariot there. The other nice thing is that if a barb comes up, his archer's got a defensive bonus on that tile, so his archer defense, not mine. So that'd weaken his unit, so I could potentially kill it. So just a few tactics around this area. Interesting. So yeah, next turn the worker roads, and I can move archer and warrior to defend this to worker 3. Worker 2 moves onto this hill to defend that. Interestingly though, I can settle City 7 on turn 81. Depending on what that spear does, that might not necessarily be true. Not because I won't be able to defend the city and the worker. Because next turn I move that settler down onto the plains hill. So even if the spear's here, I can move this. Oh shit, no, it might even cover the city tile. That's fucking obnoxious. I might just delay slightly. I'll be totally honest, I might just delay slightly. Um, yeah, I think I'm actually going to delay slightly. It's going to fuck up the worker micromanagement around here, but I've got to. I think I'll have to delay. The axe. If I'd have roaded it straight, I mean, actually, the quickest way to get the axe down there is actually just to ignore the roads. 1, 2, 3, 4 to there. Whereas it's only two turns to get there, so I move it here now. The spear moves up to the one south of City 7. Axe moves onto the grass hill. Wait, so I move there, spear moves up. I move there, spear moves onto the city tile, and I can actually just kill it with the axe. So actually moving the axe all the way down is actually the wisest course of action. But again, it's going to cost me more gold. Oh no, not that one. Not moving the axe. Moving the next unit should cost me. So yeah, what to do? Again, I only have one axe. I could build an axe. I'd do 12 hammers this turn, 12 hammers next turn. I'd be at 24. On turn 81, I stagnate at size 6. Or at least that was the plan. Actually, I don't even know if I can... I can't even stagnate. I'd actually lose food or gain food working the farm. But that's okay. That actually works out quite well for me if I were to work the farm and not the... It would work out to work the farm for a turn because it means that I don't have to... I could work a hill rather than the farm on when going to size 7, so that doesn't bother me at all. It'll change the micromanagement at ARAM collision a little bit, but not too much. And I don't even need to work any additional tiles to finish the axe in 3. If I were to build the archer though, I still would finish the archer in 3, I'd just have a lot more overflow. I'd actually overflow out 14 hammers doing the archer, whereas I'd only flow out 4 doing the axe. I've said that I want to do a spear. I want a spear in City 8, but an axe would be quite nice. However, I'd like an axe because if I got an axe at the City 5 location, there's nothing Thoth can do to me here. I mean, I'd have like 4 units here in this area, like just an archer on and spear in the city. I could have the chariot on a hill so that he can't easily move up on it. You'd actually have to move up a lot of units, and with 2 workers, theoretically speaking, well, I can actually fork the 2 cities depending on where he moved his units. So he'd have to have a lot more units there than just an axe and spear to defend 2 cities. He'd need a couple of archers. Again, he'd have to match me unit for unit almost. And if he were to get aggressive, as long as I keep the archer on the hill, axe and spear in the city, if he moves onto the flatland, he dies because I'm aggressive and all my units have promotions. His don't. I'd have odds on every single unit. So I could even attack spear versus spear. So I could attack with the axe first, with shock, so I should win that battle. I could attack with the spear against the spear, again with shock, and I should be able to win that battle. A melee shock chariot, and the archer, so yeah. So that would just be being really defensive. But I don't, strictly speaking, need the axe. Thoth could look at it with a spear, chariot, and archer and just think, yeah, it's not worth dealing with. And I don't need a second axe down here. I don't think I do. 1 axe should definitely be enough to kill the spears. I have to look at here tomorrow big to figure out, do I need anything here? Because I can build the... I can finish the axeman this turn. I make 28 plus 14. What's that? 32, 42. So yeah, I'd save 7, which is not enough to do the granary. The granary would still take 6 turns to finish afterwards, so I'd be 1 turn from growing. So again, what I'd actually be better off doing is stacking the whip unhappiness into the yeah, stack the whip unhappiness into the granary, and then regrow quickly. Um, I could actually give up this hill here to got the reset, which wouldn't be too bad as well. So I'm not actually that. I'd be quite happy to do that. I would have 16 food saved, need 14 to grow. I'd only need 12 actually if I slaved, but I'd go from making um, 4 a turn to 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Actually, I'd whip it and it'd gain another 5 anyway. So I'd need 7. So I'd actually have to work a farm, or well, sugar for a turn, for 2 turns. So I'd need 7. I'd produce 6. Actually, no, I wouldn't even do that because of the fucking rounding. Oh, that's a bit obnoxious. What I'm going to do then, I'm actually going to dump the overflow into the granary. Dump the overflow into the granary. Or do I need to do it this way? I make 7 total. And I need how many to do that? I need 21. Dump the overflow into the granary. I then need 35 to do that. I actually... No, I'm considering whipping the axe and trying to overflow out hammers to finish the granary just to get the rounding done a bit better. And also to make sure that I don't lose hammers into the axe. That's the main reason I'd want to do it that way. And it would also give me an axe, because there's only an archer down here, and if I'm going to move these units over the hill, over the river, to defend City 5, I'm a bit undefended down here. You can see Thoth's got, again, he could just turn up with 2 immortals and be a bit weak, even though they're immortals. Actually, I'll be right back. One moment. Okay, back again. Yeah, so the micromanagement around Hitmar Big is actually a little bit interesting because there's the additional variable of losing the hammers in the axeman. Do I even need the axe or anything? I'd actually just ultimately I'd just store the axe near to got the reset back between the 3 cities, so that I can deal with any barbs, because I know the archer, I'm building the archer and got the reset to fog bust, um, but even if but there's always barbs that can go past it, and I still want it. I still have the axe in the area for the city 5. That'd mean I don't. There's no way I need to build an axe in Rashadonga. I could build a spear, or build some more archers. I am actually going quite a bit overboard on archers. I think I could do with more spears, because spears you always want in position. So I don't think the axe is a wasted build, even though I am paying gold per turn now for the units I have, because I do need, because I know Thoth's got stuff that I need to deal with over there. Down here, I'm looking to expand into these cities, so I've got to clear out barbs, and again get the units in place to defend these. So building the units now whilst I grow is not to me a waste. I might have them a few turns early, but I need those few turns to get them into position anyway. So I don't think that's a waste at all. It's just a prioritization issue at most, and I don't even think it's that. So now I just need to figure out how to get the axe and granary done. Actually, there's even an argument that Krill, you don't even need a granary here. It's not growing much. It's like, well, no, you're always going to build a granary in every single city. It's like, you will do it. It's a question of when you build it. And putting it off now I don't see how that benefits me. The only other stuff I could build is, again, more military, so finish the axe and then go onto a spear, or get the library that I know I'm going to need to defend the cultural borders. And I'd rather get the granary so that in future I don't do 1-pop whips, I do 2-pop whips, or I grow quickly using the food, or the sugar tile and the banana down here. Or so that I can grow quickly later on to get a granary, get a library rather, and then work 2 scientists potentially here. But it's just figuring out the maths. Dump in 28. $24. Whip. 24 goes to 54 plus 7. 61. Overflow out. 26. Need 6, making 7. Yeah, I could do that. Turn 79, I do this setup to dump in 28 hammers into the granary. 80. 81, I build the axe. 82, no, 80 I build the axe. 81, I slave the axe. And 82, I finish the granary. So I'd produce 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5 plus 5. So I'd have 18 food saved, and I'd need 28 total to grow, so I'd need to produce 10, and I would be producing 5 a turn. It's not perfect, however, I could give up 1 extra hill for the sugar, and instead of making 5, produce 7, and I would save all 14, which I'd probably do. I'd probably do that, because then I'd have 14 plus. I'd have 18 gold in the food box and need 30 to regrow, so that'd be, again, that'd be a 3-turn growth. To size 6, the only issue is the happiness. But it's already moving at 1, so that'd be then 4 turns to do that, so I need 5 left. So actually, no, it'd grow to size 6 the turn that the unhappinesses wear off, so that'd be pretty much perfect to do that. It'd then be size 6. There wouldn't be that much to work. But again, I could stack the whip unhappiness and build a worker, because I'm going to need a worker again to hook up the sugar. As I've said several turns ago, that I either want to hook up one sugar or the other. It's like, do I waste the worker turns I put into that farm, or do I risk improving this sugar here? That's a risky one. Now, I could very easily move this chariot to threaten this worker. In many different ways. I could move it onto the hill. I could move it onto well, the farm would be the smart move. I'd move the farm rather than the hill because you can still reach more tiles from the farm than all the relevant ones around here. Commodore would actually move his unit off, though. He'd almost certainly play it safe and move his unit off. He wouldn't defend his worker. Whereas I'm trying to say to Commodore that I don't mind having this area demilitarized. I don't actually think there's anything I can say to Commodore anymore that will make him do that. Because I want to keep it demilitarized, but I've raised a city, so I don't think he'll trust me at any level with anything like a worker. Especially not when he's just getting his game back together. So I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I think I will actually need a spear on that. I will need a spear on that tile, and if this is roaded from the fog of war, I'll need an axe as well, which is a bit obnoxious because even then he can still throw a good chunk of units at it, and probably come out with a hammer exchange in his favour. Well, we both have lost, but it would favour I'd have lost more. And if it's Commodore, he's often not averse to wrecking someone's game if you've already wrecked his. Not that I can say I blame him for that. But yeah, I'll go for the granary first. Granary now, and then I'll do 2 turns into the axe, and then whip the axe and overflow out the granary. The archering got the reset. I'm not getting that tile improved. Grow in 3 turns, not in 4, using the pig. Then I'll actually move off the pig. Well, the new population point goes on to that, and I can always use that hill for a few turns as well. I'd actually be making 13 hammers a turn total, so I could actually do a 5-turn worker there. I could get that worker done that I want, so that would work. I'd be happy with that. I don't need an axe now. I do not need an axe because I'm getting that axe from here tomorrow big, which means that what? Archer, spear. Definitely don't want a chariot. Definitely don't want a library. Spear, because I want a spear for around the City 8 location, or even just to sit between multiple cities. So I could, theoretically speaking, if I just left it where that chariot is, so it can defend 2 cities from Novice, it's not too far from City 8 location. Well, probably it's too far from City 8 location to defend it from Vindicator's chariots if he's got any. ARAM collusion is building a worker. Now I need to go back and check the micromanagement for this city. Now I make 13 hammers a turn here, so in 5 turns well, it doesn't make any difference. It's a 5-turn worker, no matter what I do. But I need to work the one of the forests to get a bit more overflow. I mean, that's 14. Times 5. I wish my maths was better. I'd overflow out 10 hammers. I've actually said one of the previous turn reports I'd overflow out 11. I obviously did a bit of a miscount there. Overflow out 10. 10 plus the library plus the chop is actually enough for the library to be double whipped. So I'd whip off those at size at 5. 1, 2, 3. Um, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Overflow out 7 hammers. So yeah, I actually think the micromanagement I did previously was wrong. Oh, maybe not. I'd overflow out 14, so I wouldn't get the the second workout as fast as I needed, as fast as I wanted it. Um, I'm actually considering not even working the hill and going for extra commerce right now, or in this case, just for more beakers. It doesn't affect the worker at all. I'd still be able to get the library as soon as I could, or a second worker if I ignored the library. Um, it's only later on that working that forest becomes an advantage. Right now, I actually want the commerce because, as you can tell, the costs have gone through the roof. Have increased quite a bit. They've increased by almost a quarter. Well, not the cost, but the the costs actually have increased by a quarter. Um, so that does affect the amount of turns worth of gold. Well, turns worth of research I can do. So I want to get a little bit more now. And that's pretty much it for the turn. There's nothing new. Nothing new. A lot will depend on where that spear goes. If the spear wanders off towards the bowman, then I've got nothing to worry about. If it moves north, I haven't really got anything to worry about. I'll put my archer. I'm just trying to think what I should promote it to. On a hill, it's still not got enough of a defensive bonus, I think. Well, it's just about got odds against the spear. But if I promote it to gorilla, it definitely will. It should be fine. Having said that, it'll almost certainly die now. But if I promoted it to combat, it's more useful in Say Baron again, because that's not on a hill. So I've got a few things to consider. Obviously, I could promote it to gorilla, and then move it into City 8 as well. So I've got two. That would be then the 2 archers there. And I could move, and still doing that spear in Reishidonga, I could move that over. That would help cover Say Baron again against anything. Although I'd still want to do another archer after that spear. But it would also be a 2-turn archer after this. So that's not too bad. So that's okay in my opinion. That might come out. So doing that spear and then an archer to cover Say Baron again. Promote the archer here to gorilla to defend against the spear if it moves north. If that wins, then I can use 2 archers to cover the City 8 area, or eventually I'd move one of them back down here to fog bust around here as well. City 8 location, an archer on that question mark, an archer on, well, not necessarily that question mark, but 2 tiles north of it, and on that question mark. That'd fog bust everything. But I'd have to move this. But I'd want to move that archer down onto that forest tile. So I would still technically need another unit to fog bust a few of these tiles here. Actually, no, I wouldn't, because they're all lakes, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, actually, I don't mind promoting that. Don't mind promoting this unit, that archer to gorilla. And if that spear just moves north to try and take out an unprotected settler, the axe can murder it. It's 96% already. So that should be absolutely fine. And yeah, and I've already talked about archers, novices archer there. There's nothing special over here. Just novices starting to going to start trying to improve this area. Just hope he doesn't get religion. Nothing with Thoth. Thoth's playing, I don't know. I don't know what Thoth's doing. If he's decided to forego everything and just go for just try and get all the way to horse archers, I would have expected his power to go higher than that. But he could have done damage. Now, not so much, I think. Yeah, that's most of the turn. That's the turn, really. Go over Scooter's graphs, though. His score, not really impressive. But score isn't important. GNP, low. Sudoa's in a war, and Sudoa's has just about got worse than Scooter's. Thoth is obviously atrocious still, but yeah, so I'm not really that impressed with it. Manufacturing, second place. But Thoth's catching up and he's going to exceed it shortly, I think. Thoth will over the next few turns with having more cities. Crop yield, again, Thoth has more cities, that's going higher. Power, he's like this going the same line as Thoth, and to be totally honest, that's not good for Scooter. Then culture. Espionage, it's no espionage game. Scooter's playing aggressive protective. Thoth is playing organised philosophical. I mean, protective with cheap granaries, aggressive with cheap barracks to pop borders. If Thoth is keeping up with you without those advantages, you're not going to have a good late... Well, I'd say you're not going to have that good a late game, but you're playing protective and aggressive and you've got all those promotions on units, so actually you could have an interesting late game. But you shouldn't have as large an economy, you shouldn't be able to build as many units, or afford as many units, or tech as fast as Thoth is capable of doing, or have the flexibility of great people getting in artist bombs and whatnot. So I'm not that impressed. I really hope he trades maps with me so I can uncover all of this area, and he should have a good chunk of this. I think a good chunk of this scouted. If he doesn't, I'll be a bit annoyed, but I don't need this map uncovering. I could do with it being uncovered, but I can wait a bit. I'll just go scouting with chariots again, if that's the case, or whatnot. Because I can get units down here to uncover a good chunk of this, I think, because most of this isn't settled. And to be fair, Vindicator doesn't matter. I traded maps with Sudoa, and he accepted it. Camula, Dunham, Jagovia, Sudoa doesn't generally run naming schemes. The Smith Morra is one that he's taken off Vindicator. And Vindicator's named all his cities to blah. So I don't quite know what's going on there. But he took that city, even though he doesn't give a shit about the culture. Sudoa doesn't give a shit about most things. I'll move him. If I don't get oh, that'd be obnoxious. If I try and pillage that cottage, he'd kill me. Yeah, that warrior would just die. So I'm going to move him either north to do that, or down here to pillage that cottage here. That cottage is off limits. The workshop, who cares? It's a workshop. So yeah, I think that's the turn. Keep on building units. I'm going to build libraries all over the place. I've got enough food that I can work a few scientists. It'd be really nice if all those cities could actually pop scientists out. I mean, just 4 scientists from these. Potentially, I mean, it'd take a while to get the 3rd and 4th, but 1 academy, dump all of the rest into got the reset. That'd be kind of nice. Probably won't happen though. Yeah, and how much? Just to figure out last thing, how many beakers I'm overflowing from maths. So I need about 20% to do it. So about 12 beakers. So the other 50 beakers, and that's base, so actually adjusted. Those 50 are more like 60 beakers. from maths, we'll go straight into calendar. So calendar's not going to be as big as take as long as I think. So I'm going to produce 60. What am I producing now? 63. So that's 64. Yeah, 64 becomes, what is it, 70, 75-ish? So 75-ish beakers per turn. I'm going to need to get 460-ish. So I'm going to get this done in... That can't be right. That's looking like a... Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I might get calendar done in 6 turns. Like this, how long it took me to research maths, I might get calendar done. Even though there's an increase in tech cost of about 150, which is, what, 35-40% of the cost of maths. So actually, yeah, the economy's grown a fair bit since I started researching maths. So I've definitely got enough gold saved, even with the increased costs, to do that. I might have more saved than I think, and I expect my I mean, as these cities get settled, as they get hooked up to the trade network, so they all have trade routes, as they grow to size 2, which is what they would do by the time I'd be ready to turn research back on, should produce over 100 beakers per turn. It's like getting the dyes hooked up, sugar hooked up, incense hooked up, all these things, yeah, should make it possible to do stuff like horseback riding in 3 turns. So I might not even need that much gold saved to do those either. Okay, about 120, 130 gold might suffice to get those done. And again, I'm still saving gold at about 25 gold per turn. So things are looking up. So, yeah, things are looking up. Yeah, hopefully I'll be back later tonight and I can do a stream the next turn. We'll wait and see what happens.